Frank sat quietly in front of the big Okeovia teaching hospital in Nnewi, Nigeria. He wore dark glasses and held a white cane. Every day he looked like a blind man. But Frank had a secret. What could it be? Welcome to African King of Tales, a home of interesting stories. Frank was not really poor or hurt. He was a kind young man with a lot of money. He had big houses and a shiny car. People knew him as a rich boss. But Frank did not want people to know about his money. He only wanted someone to love him for who he was. Would he ever find that kind of love? Every week, Frank dressed in old clothes and sat by the hospital gate. He put a plate in front of him for coins. Sometimes nurses and students would drop some money or give him water. Frank would say, "Thank you," with a soft smile each time. He hoped that being near kind people might make his heart feel warm. Then one sunny morning, something special was going to happen. Who would come to him that day? A pretty young nurse walked by the gate. Her name was Isioma. She had fair skin and big, kind eyes. She wore a white nurse's dress with a blue belt. Isioma saw Frank sitting alone with a cane. She felt a little pity for him. She stopped and dropped some coins into Frank's plate. "Are you okay, sir?" she asked gently. Frank felt his heart skip a beat. What would he say back? Frank smiled and replied softly, "Yes, I am fine. Thank you." His voice was calm and kind. Isioma smiled too. "Take care of yourself," she said. Frank felt happy that she talked to him. For the first time, someone really looked at him. He hoped maybe she would come back. What would the next day bring? The next day, and the day after, Isioma returned. She said hello, brought Frank water, and sometimes a small snack. Frank looked forward to seeing her every morning. His heart felt warm each time she was near. Sometimes they talked softly. She told him about her nursing school and how she liked to help people. He told her he liked to meet kind friends. Frank wanted to tell her a bigger secret, but he was scared. Would she still be kind if she knew he was rich and hiding his eyes? One morning, Frank heard two students whispering nearby. "He says he is blind, but I think he is lying. He must be a rich man," one student said. "He has nice clothes under those old ones," the other whispered. Frank's heart beat fast. He looked at Isioma to see if she was listening too. She was busy picking up a piece of trash. Frank wondered, should he tell Isioma the truth before she hears it from someone else? That afternoon, Isioma came to sit next to Frank. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder and asked, "Frank, why do you sit here every day?" Frank felt a burst of courage. He took off his glasses a little and looked up at her. He said softly, "I like to meet good people like you. I am pretending to need help because I want to feel kindness in my heart." Isioma's eyes grew wide with surprise and confusion. What was Frank really saying? She felt something deep inside. Her heart was a little fluttery. She had never met a man so gentle and kind. But she still wondered, if he is not really blind, is he telling me everything? Frank felt her doubts in the silence. He wanted to reach out and hold her hand, but he did not move. He worried. Would he hurt her by hiding too much? The next day, Frank waited by the gate as usual. Isioma came carrying a plate of food and a bottle of juice. "I brought lunch for you," she said softly. Frank's face lit up with a big smile. He thanked her and reached for the food. Suddenly, as he moved, his dark glasses slipped off his nose and fell on the ground. In that moment, Frank opened his eyes, his deep brown eyes, and looked at Isioma. What would Isioma do now? Isioma gasped. She saw Frank's eyes and the gentle smile on his face. It was the first time she saw him clearly. Her heart skipped a beat. Frank gently took her hand and said, "Yes, Isioma, I can see. I wanted to find someone who cared about me, not about my money." The words were soft but true. Now Isioma knew it. Frank was not blind. What would she do now? Isioma felt a mix of feelings in her heart. She looked at Frank. He was the same kind man she had met. yet different now that she knew the truth. Tears came to her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me the truth before?" she asked quietly. Frank nodded and said, "I was scared. Scared that if you knew who I really am, you might not care for me." Isioma held his hand tightly and thought hard about his words. How would she answer him? A warm breeze blew past them. Isioma wiped a tear from her cheek and looked into Frank's kind eyes. "Frank," she said gently, "I care about you for you, not for your money or your houses." Frank's face beamed with relief and happiness. He smiled wide and said, "And I care about you for your kind heart." They both laughed softly, feeling love warm in the air. Under the orange sky of late afternoon, they stood together. What would their tomorrow look like? Frank walked with Isioma to his shiny car parked nearby. He opened the door for her gently. Isioma saw how beautiful and clean the car was. It had soft seats and music inside. But Isioma held Frank's hand and looked into his eyes, not at the car. Frank felt happy and calm with her by his side. Then he drove with Isioma to his big, warm home. Inside, there were flowers on the table and a cozy room ready for Isioma. Frank showed her around. He had a nice room waiting for her to rest after a long day. Isioma felt so loved and safe there. They talked and laughed in the soft light of the living room. They planned to go on a picnic by a lake tomorrow. Frank felt so happy he could hug Isioma there and feel her gentle warmth. Could life get better than this? That evening, Frank's friends and Isioma's friends came by to celebrate. They all cheered and clapped for the happy couple. Frank and Isioma held hands and smiled. They promised to always be honest and kind to each other. The sun went down and the stars came out. Hand in hand, Frank and Isioma walked in the garden under the twinkling lights of the night. Frank and Isioma were happy and so in love. What new adventures would tomorrow bring? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like and comment for more interesting stories.